Well, good afternoon, race fans. We're back once again with the Thursday Night Nitro series here on the Boom Tube. As always, I'm Adam LeVox, the voice of the Boom Tube, here to bring you the action live from Speedway, Indiana at the fabled Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The over 100-year-old circuit will play host to round number 8 of our Thursday Night Nitro Series Fall 2025 season. We've got 10 drivers here to compete, and we've got several on the cut line of the point standings. Just 2 races remain before the championship playoff reset, in which the top 6 drivers will compete for that championship. But of course, tonight is also sponsored by Devin Mains Designs. It is the DMD 205 at the Brickyard. Thanks to Devin Mains Designs for coming on board. If you would like to get your car painted up and looking nice, like so many of these cars out on track, go ahead and check out the Facebook link down in the description of the video, and Devin can get you hooked up with a great deal. You get 20% off if you mention code TNN in your interactions with Devin. We appreciate Devin for coming on, sponsoring this race, and of course the team championship as well. And speaking of championships, let's get a quick rundown of our points situation. As drivers go through their warm-up, we got a couple minutes to run down the points board, and that 6th place spot is definitely under fire right now. But from the top down, Bennett Allen currently leads the points with 342 points, tied 83 points behind Bennett. Our Dusty Martin and Alex Wiggins tied for that 2nd spot, 83 points behind the lead. Max Baumann trails by just 4 additional points, 87 points behind the lead in 4th. Zach Miller currently occupies the 5th spot, 111 points back, while Steven Turner currently holds that coveted 6th position, the final spot above the playoff cut line, 122 points back, but more importantly, only 8 points above Devin Gentry, driver number 12, who's been consistently marching up the leaderboard. Just behind Devin, also 2 other drivers who both gained 2 spots each in the point standings last week, Kyle Nadeau and Doug Argabright. Nadeau currently trails Gentry by 10 points and trails the cut line by 18, with Doug Argabright an additional 14 back, so it'll be a little more of a long shot for Doug. We'll see what he's able to do tonight in that number 41 Toyota. But that is the current point situation. Dalton Brewington unable to make it tonight. He'll continue to fall down the standings due to extenuating circumstances. Ryan Rose all the way up to 14th after the win last week. Not going to be eligible for the playoffs should he score a couple more wins between now and the cutoff. But just of mention, he has risen quite a bit just with that one win. Very strong showing for the 78 car last week, and a well-deserved win for Ryan. Team standings right now. Turnaround Turbos currently lead with 305 points, with Great Lakes Racing 271 points. Long Shot Motorsports 74 points behind with 230. So Turnaround Turbos still hanging on to that lead. Great Lakes Racing trailing just behind, 34 points back. We'll see if they're able to close that gap a little bit this afternoon. Go ahead and look at the qualifying rundown before we get rolling here at Indianapolis. Bennett Allen, no surprise here, is going to lead him to the green flag this evening in that number 15 Ford Mustang, followed by Max Baumann. Both drivers showing some good confidence, especially Max here at Indianapolis. Looking forward to this race tonight. Doug Arkwright, we mentioned he's after that 6th playoff spot. He's going to roll off P3, 0.2 seconds off the 53.46 set by Allen. Behind him, Kyle Nadeau rolls off outside of row 2 in the number 97. Carlos Ramos, number 90, inside of row 3. Dusty Martin will start his outside in the number 35 Long Shot Chevrolet. Devin Gentry puts his Ford Mustang in P number 7 for the evening, with Zach Miller to his outside in the 38. Greg Burchett starting P9, and Steve Turner rounding out the grid for this evening. Getting ready to kick things off here at this 2-mile speedway in Speedway, Indiana. Mentioned before, over 100 racetrack, over 100 years old, built all the way back in 1909. One of the first paved, purpose-built oval speedways in the world. Has a seating capacity of 257,325. Well, your seat tonight's free. We thank you to thank everyone for joining us here on Boom 2 this evening. As we get ready to go green, Mustang pace car will pull off momentarily, and we will get racing this evening. Bennett Allen leads them to the start. Pair of Ford Mustangs on the front row. Allen to the inside, Baumann to the outside. Flagman waves the green flag, and we are underway for the Devin Mains Designs 205 at the Brickyard. Great start for both lines up front. Slow start for Nadeau in that second row. He starts trailing back early. It's Allen with an early advantage through turn 1. Outside 89, Max Baumann trying to hang on. can't quite make it stick. He's going to fall into the tire tracks of the number 15 for now, with the 41 lurking behind. A defensive line for Allen early, trying to break that draft from behind, not letting Max Baumann get too close or take advantage of that aerodynamic situation. Very long straightaways here at Indianapolis. That draft effect, that wake can definitely speed up that car behind you if you're not careful about breaking that draft and not giving them any advantage. You see Max Baumann follows down this time, trying to stick in that trailing air off the number 15 spoiler. Jumping back for that battle for 7th spot, we got Steve Turner on the back of Dusty Martin. One car length, the gap between the two. Turner painting that line all the way down onto the apron, nearly onto the rumble strips. Driver's going to have to be careful about getting too low. Don't touch the grass or it'll be bad news for everybody. Single file, 1st through 10th, all the way back through the field. Everyone trying to get that draft off the lead car. See a lot of drivers behind. Woo, big moment there for Dusty Martin in the 35. Very, very loose coming out of turn 1. Now through turn 2, it's going to be Martin to the inside, Turner to the outside with a run. Turner's got the draft off the 97. He's going to be able to complete the pass before turn 3. Up front, it's still Allen out front, followed by Baumann and Argo Bright. Carlos Ramos in the 90 hanging just behind them. The Joe starting to work his way back forward, still down 1 spot from the start of the race, but we should see him rebound at some point. 26 is the big charger so far, up 4 spots from the start of the race already. He's started second to last at the drop of the green flag. He's been on the march in a big way since we got going so far. We'll go ahead and get that leaderboard shown for you in just a moment. The 26 still putting distance on Dusty Martin behind and closing that gap really quickly to Kyle Nadeau. He knows something about this speedway, and he's making it work for him in that 26 Premier Security Chevrolet. Takes a look inside, chooses to stay in line through turn 1, down all the way to that bottom lane. We've seen him run. Got those left side tires down below that white line. Gets an excellent run off the corner using every ounce of asphalt on the racetrack. Little bit of a wide corner there for the 97. Might have been playing it defensive, but ends up wiggling just a little bit off the corner. That's going to let the 26 get a nose to the inside. They're side by side as they race down toward turn 3. Position to Turner. Now the battle shifts forward. We're going to go ahead and look at that second place battle right now. Doug Argerbright running down Max Baumann for that second spot and trailing since the drop of the green flag, but starting to close in. Now within a quarter car length, gets a nose to the outside. You're going to have to lift before exit. Gets a little piece of the wall with the rear end coming out of the corner. Not an optimal entry to that corner. I think it threw off the line throughout that whole segment of the racetrack, so a little bit of ground lost there for Doug Argerbright after the pass attempt. Dirty air definitely a factor at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. These cars don't have a lot of grip. Indy's a very flat racetrack, and you'll notice there's not quite as much banking on these corners as there are on quite a few other oval racetracks that we see throughout the season. As a result, you're really relying on that front grip, that downforce to plant the nose of that race car and keep those tires hooked up on the front end. And when you've got that car in front of you taking away that fresh air, ooh, bit of a misstep there for Baumann on entry. Gets off the wall where the safer barrier juts out. Able to hang on for now, but mistakes out of both of these drivers. But they maintain position currently. A little bit loose there for the 41 coming off the corner. A little bit of a slide, nothing too crazy. Baumann dips down trying to break that draft, but I think it's too late. Argerbright got a really great run out of 2 that time, closing that gap back down to half a car length. Painting that inside line well is Argerbright. Baumann goes defensive. He says, I'm going to do the same thing through turn 4. Take away that air off the nose of the 41. For too long, Argerbright's going to have teammate help from Ramos behind. If this doesn't get settled soon, but there it is right there. Baumann's going to concede the position going through turn 1. Not going to fight him too hard for it. It is early on in this 82-lap race. No reason to do anything too crazy right now. Behind them, that battle for that 5th spot starting to heat back up. We said the 26 was cruising earlier. Now, Nadeau has run Turner back down. Turner's going to let him have it through turn 3. A lot of give and take here early. Makes you friends for later in the race. .6 second the gap. Allen over Argerbright currently. Max Baumann starting to spread things out for that 3rd spot as Ramos gets a little bit loose off turn 4. Field beginning to fan out a little bit. It's going to be hot lapping for a while until we see our first round of pit stops. It's going to be very crucial tonight. Not a whole lot of drivers on. Ooh, big moment for Ramos. Hanging on to that race car. Still trying to save it. Gets it mowed down. And on the access road, good piece of driving there by Carlos to keep it off the racetrack and out of the way of the rest of the field. Pushed a little too hard through turn 1. End up smacking the right side of that number 90 Toyota pretty hard on exit. It's going to be an uphill climb for driver number 90 tonight. From 4th spot now back in 10th. Argerbright starting to come back under fire from Baumann. These two kind of having a back and forth. Bit of a yo-yo, that gap for that 2nd spot recently. Taking a look back here, Zach Miller trying to run down the 12 of Devin Gentry for the 7th position. Devin hanging on to that 7th spot since the drop of the green flag. Looking pretty sporty tonight, as we see in the background. Ramos comes in for pit service on that number 90 after what I can only assume would be some damage after contact with the outside wall off of turn 2. Sorry, turn 1. Still a tight race for this spot. Zach Miller getting a little bit loose off turn 4 that time. Taking a look at a bit of a special paint scheme here for Devin Gentry this week. Of course, October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, he has got a pinked out number 12 Ford Mustang. The slogan, "No one fights alone," on the hood of his race car. Tonight's race will feature a prize along that same theme, supplied by Devin and Sugar Maple Designs. That prize being a collector's edition entire breast cancer awareness set featuring 5 race cars from Dale Jarrett. I believe the 2002 racing season, featuring a 1/32nd scale race car and several 1/64th scale cars as well, for the race fans for a Cure theme. Thanks to Devin and Sugar Maple Designs for supplying that prize for the winner of tonight's Devin Mains Designs 205 at the Brickyard. Nose to tail, they still go. We're going to go ahead and jump up to that 4th place battle. Things starting to tighten up here between Kyle Nadeau and Steve Turner. We've seen a back and forth between these two already. Turner passing Nadeau early on, the Nadeau reversing that, getting back around Turner for that 4th position. Now Turner looking to get it back, following hot in the tire tracks of Nadeau in the number 97. Bit of a little love tap up there a little bit farther by Max Baumann. Saw it for just a moment. Coming out of turn 1. Turner hot on the heels, gap 1 car length as they come out of turn 2. Both these drivers, while battling, slightly closing that gap to the 89 in 3rd place. See Baumann and Nadeau, both lines starting to migrate up the racetrack. Oh, nose inside for the 26. Made Nadeau do a double take. Kind of hesitate on the entry to the corner, which means he's going to have to give up a little bit of exit speed. 26 still has a nose alongside, just barely trying to side draft the 97 and pull him back. Still with a nose to the inside, it's Turner to the bottom in the 26, Nadeau to the outside through turn 1. Still dead even off of turn 2. Nadeau able to get a little bit of a advantage on that outside lane. We'll see if he's able to hold that advantage as they come off of turn 2. '26 has to concede the spot for now. Tucks in line behind Nadeau once again. Nadeau drives it really deep down into turn 3. Saw the rear end of that 97 stepping out a good ways on corner entry. Trying to create a little bit of separation. Now loose off of turn 4 for 97 of Nadeau. That might give Turner a little bit of a momentum advantage as they come down the front straightaway and cross for lap number 22 of 82. Nadeau and Turner both all the way down, grazing those rumble strips onto the bottom of the racetrack, all the way down on that apron. Nadeau once again to the bottom. Turner takes a little bit higher lane, half lane up that time. Nadeau had to lift on exit. That's going to give Turner a massive run down the back straight. Once again to the inside. Can the 26 pull it off as they enter turn 3? He does in commanding fashion through turn 3. Move Stephen Turner up to position number 4. Back in the 7th place battle, it's still on fire. Zach Miller trying to run down the 12 of Gentry for that spot. It's right along with Miller for a moment as he tries to run down the 12 for P7 on the racetrack. Nose to the inside. For Miller, looks like Gentry going to have to give up that spot for now. Big send by Miller, and it pays off. clean race for pretty much everyone so far. Only driver on the racetrack with any incident points to speak of is Bauman, so he will not be eligible for the 0x bonus points, 0 incident bonus points of this evening. Everybody else still has that points up for grabs. Fastest lap of the night so far is a 53.50, 0.2 faster than the rest of the field. That, of course, being your leader, Bennett Allen, now out front to a 3-second lead over Argabright in second. Argabright has been consistently faster the last couple laps. 56.15 for Allen the last time by. 55.8 for the 41 Toyota Supra. Dusty Martin hanging on to that P6, still within spitting distance of this fourth place battle just ahead. Indianapolis, a bit of a bigger racetrack, a less of a brawling racetrack than we've seen in the past. Follow the leader down to pit lane. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We see Argabright, Turner, Nadeau, Martin, and Miller all come down for their first green flag pit stop of the evening. This is going to be crucial in order to maintain that track position. Can't have any mistakes overshooting or undershooting the pit box. Got to be pretty quick about it too. Get that car nice and centered in the box for the pit crew so they can go right to work. Oh, a little bit of an overshoot for the 26. That's going to be costly. Too deep and too far to the left for Turner in the 26. Nearly 5 seconds to correct that mistake. Everyone else down and away already. 26 going to lose massively on this round of green flag pit stops. In front of him, Argabright's going to get out really, really clean. Dusty Martin going to gain a couple spots through this interaction. Kyle Nadeau loses a spot to Martin. Zach Miller makes up a little bit of ground with a pretty fast pit lane time overall. Dusty Martin, the fastest pit lane time through that sequence, 51 seconds spent from commitment cone to exit cone. 51.7 for him, 51.8 for Doug Argabright, 54.5 for Kyle Nadeau, and 53.5 for Zach Miller. Steve Turner with 1 minute and 2 seconds, so nearly a full 10 seconds extra on pit lane for driver number 26, taking him from the 4th position all the way back to P9. Still on the racetrack, Allen, Bauman, Burchett. Your top 3 at present. Burchett having a pretty quiet night so far. Just trying to play the strategy game, taking care of that race car. Very sinister looking metallic purple and black Chevrolet Camaro. Looking mighty fine out here in the Indianapolis sun. Devin Gentry down on pit lane for service here on lap number 28. Very long pit lane time. Not sure what happened there. 1 minute and 33 seconds spent on pit lane for driver number 12. Let's go back and take a look on our Déjà Revél replay cam. We'll take a look at this pit sequence for the 12 car, see if we can identify where the problems arose. We mentioned nearly an extra 30 seconds in pit lane. Gets down to speed, slides him a little bit. Maybe a little too fast entering. Standard affair so far. Gets to the box. We'll see how the entry looks. Possibly too far to the right. No, service starts just fine. Pit crew's able to get around to the right side. Car is up in the air. Maybe some damage repair for the 12 from an incident a little bit earlier. We saw him lose a little bit of pace to the 38, it seemed like. Possibly a misclick on the pit lane settings. Might have done another additional pit stop by accident. That does happen if you're not careful about where and what you click. If you change settings while you're already going in a pit stop, then it will pit you again after your first pit stop is done. Kind of one of those things iRacing does. Looks like he's sitting here for a while. Might have had some hardware issues. Not sure what happened for the 12, but that does drop him back a good ways. That's going to definitely cost him a lap out on the racetrack as well. Speaking of the 12, right here in front of the battles, Mr. Gentry. The new battle for the 5th position on the racetrack, currently held by Dusty Martin in the 35. Under fire now from Kyle Doe in the 97. Kyle really drove deep into turn 4 that time. Martin gets a little wiggle on the exit that keeps it tidy, but that's going to let the 97 get a run. Showing the nose, not quite alongside yet, but he's going to send it down towards turn 1. Martin sends it in deep as well, both tidy off the corner. Martin going to hold that spot for now. Big gain on entry. We'll see if Nadeau's able to pull down the backstretch. Big draft help for the 97, tucking right in line in the tire tracks of Dusty in the 35 car. Through 3 and 4 they go. All the way down below that white line. Nearly identical lines out of both drivers. Driver 97 using a little bit extra on exit there. Got a bit loose, so I think that's going to cost him down the front straight. Gap. Car length and a half as they enter down towards turn 1. Higher entry that time for Martin. That's going to cost him a little bit. Probably has to lift, and he does on exit. Better through turn 2. Still misses that apex a little bit. That's going to allow Nadeau to close. Half a car length now the gap for the spot. Nadeau shows the nose once again into turn 3. We saw him send it once. He won't be afraid to do it again. He's going to tuck in line, though, this time. Taking a delayed entry. A nice wide arc. He's going to want to get the run off the corner, and he does. Nice tidy line for Martin this time, though. He's not going to miss it twice in a row. A little bit of slide for Nadeau, but he stays right on the bumper, and he's showing the nose as they cross this start-finish line. Side by side through turn 1. 97 holding it down. He puts a slider on Dusty Martin for the spot. Move Kyle Nadeau up to P4. Nadeau making that gain back to net even from the start of the race as we see the 15 come off pit lane. Allen with the fastest pit lane time of the day, 51.2, half a second faster than the 51.7 of driver number 35. Max Bauman in pit lane will follow his pit stop because this is the battle for the top 3. No problem so far. Left side of the car goes up. Good spot so far. 53 seconds. A little bit of a long stop for Bauman on that. Maybe a little bit slow getting onto pit lane. He's going to have to make up for it by being aggressive on this out lap. Getting back onto that racetrack as fast as possible through the access road. Looking at that, using every inch of access road and then some, dipping the right side tires on the grass, trying to get that Road Ranger Ford Mustang up to speed. In line with several other drivers, but that's going to be a 2-second net loss on pit lane compared to the other leaders for Bauman. By virtue of coming pitting so much earlier than the rest of the field, Doug Argerbright inherits the lead after Allen and Bauman both come down and take their first service. Taking a look at that lap counter. Not sure everyone's going to be able to make it from here unless we see a caution, something to extend that time. Saw most of our pit stops happen lap number 25. Assuming that likely is the driver is trying to split it into a pretty even 3 pit stops. Everyone else coming down by lap 32 or 33. That'll be your 3 leaders that have just taken their pit service. Arkwright out front of Nadeau by 4 seconds on the racetrack here at Indianapolis. Speeds picking up on the racetrack quite a bit. Got several new fast laps within the last few laps of the race. We had a 53.51 from Dusty Martin, a 53.5 from Kyle Nadeau, who took that fast lap over for a brief amount of time. And Bennett Allen, right after this pit stop, came screaming through with a 53.25. Entire quarter-second faster on those fresh Goodyear Eagles. Number 15 is on a mission in that 4th spot. He's got 2 seconds to make up. To Dusty Martin, slightly less. Seeing the difference those fresh tires make, you say, well, it was only about 6 laps of difference between when these 2 cars pitted. But, as we mentioned, it's a very flat racetrack, very mechanical grip dependent. Those right front tires and the right rear tires, for that matter, getting a whole lot of load. So that's wow. Is able to absolutely glue it to the bottom of the racetrack. Nothing Martin could have done about that pass. Missed apex by a little bit. Allen saw the opening, shot it to that inside, down on the apron. Left side's almost touching those rumble strips on the apex of the corner and just goes sailing on by. Take a ride on board with Allen as he now runs down Nadeau for that 2nd spot. See just how much speed he's able to carry onto that front straightaway by having such a high corner speed in comparison. Really wearing out those tires through turn 1 though. Big slide on entry. Trying to get this pass done as quick as possible so he can go back to running the line that he needs to do to run down your leader, Doug Argerbright, who's 4.5 seconds up the road. Bauman on fresh rubber. Although a little bit behind, does make a pass for the fifth spot over Steve Turner in the 26. Turner already starting to struggle a little bit. Gets a bit of a handful there off of turn 4. Everybody else on the racetrack pretty well spread out. Bauman with about 7 seconds to the next position. That's how big of an impact a couple seconds on pit road will have under green flag conditions. You may say, oh, it was only a couple seconds slower, but those seconds were happening at 55 miles an hour. The seconds on the racetrack are happening at 180, so covering a lot more distance in that amount of time on the racetrack, and that's who he was losing out to, is the cars that had already pit and were already back out on the racetrack. So small losses on pit road result in big losses on the track. Bauman definitely going to be weighing some strategy options as I go throughout the final course of this race, whether to pit early, potentially hope for a late caution, just to get some extra track position on fresh tires, maybe force the hand of the leaders to come a little earlier than they would like to. Right now, just trying to make up time to that 4th spot in Dusty Martin. Each spot pretty consequential this week. One of the points changes for the fall 2025 season is all positions within the top 10 are worth 2 points each, not just 1. So just a couple gained positions can be a big points gain when it comes to the championship standings. Effort to make just make each spot worth a little bit more for these drivers, have a little more consequence. Especially as the season winds down, some drivers get preoccupied with other things going on in life, and the field numbers inevitably drop a little bit down to the 10 or so drivers we have tonight. That makes every position count just a little more, rather than just a bad day only resulting in 3 or 4 points lost to the rest of the field. It will result in a little more. It's going to sting a little more, but the better race will also benefit you more under the new point system. You tell Max definitely trying to get everything out of that race car. Little twitch out of the rear end of that Mustang every time off the corner, giving that thing absolutely as much as it will possibly take coming through these corners. Interval for the lead, closing quickly, 3/4 of a second. The margin between Argobright and Allen. Allen is coming with a full head of steam in that number 15 Mustang. Argobright trying to stay ahead, 0.6 seconds out of the gap. About 3.5 tenths a lap has been the difference in pace between these two drivers. Now within range of getting a little bit of draft from Argobright. That gap going to close even faster now that the 15 has sniffed out the back bumper of the 41. Argobright with the big wiggle off turn 3. Let's see if that hurts his entry to turn 4. Doesn't quite get all the way to the bottom. Pretty tidy corner, though, but it's not going to matter. Here comes Allen with about a 5-mile-an-hour advantage off of turn 4. Half a car length. 15 going to show the nose. No, not going to do it. Maybe going to go for the outside. Wide entry for Allen in the entry to turn 1. Stays behind for now, but it's going to stick nose to the inside. Here comes a pass for the lead. Bennett Allen to the bottom. Argabright to the outside, trying to hold on for the top spot. Allen all the way down to the inside, trying to avoid the side draft. Nearly dips the left tires on the grass. Every last bit of real estate being utilized by Allen, showing just why he has 6 wins on the season. Sorry, 5 wins on the season. Can't be going handing out free wins like that. Next victim in line for Max Bauman is Dusty Martin. As mentioned just a moment ago, he was about 5 seconds behind Martin for that spot. Has already caught him for that 4th position. Now looking for a way by down to the inside. Both drivers on a turn 4. Max gets a good run. He's going to maybe be able to find room to the inside, and he does. Going to side draft Martin as they come down the front straight. He's got a nose to the inside as they head toward turn 1. Martin concedes the spot. No point in trying to hang on with a car that much faster. Nadeau just a couple short seconds ahead. Now just 1 second ahead of Max Bauman. He will be going for that 3rd spot next. 1 car length the gap between Nadeau and Bauman. Bauman looks all the way to the apron through turn 3. Now through turn 4. 97 still looking like he's able to hold the line quite nicely, despite having slightly older tires on that race car. Bauman's still able to get the corner speed through turn 4. That's going to set him up nicely down to turn 1. Going to show the nose. He nearly gets back into the back of the 97 with the early lift. Nadeau trying for all he's worth to get around. Big lift in the center of the corner for Nadeau. That's going to hurt Bauman. He had to lift even more to stay off the back end of the number 97 that time by. Bit of a different approach this time through 3 and 4 for Bauman, taking a nice wide arc into the corner, trying to set himself up better for the exits. Would been thwarted twice through turns 1 and 2. Gonna be able to get a nice run down the straightaway this time, half a car length, and closing for Bauman and Nadeau. Bauman shows the nose again, hard entry into turn 1. Both cars sliding through the apex of the corner. Bauman loses a little bit of grip. Back end really comes around through turns 1 and 2. Off of 2 now. Let's see if Bauman could get a run. 1 car length still the gap. Nadeau gonna wear out the tires on this 89, trying to make something happen here. Fortunately, Bauman misses the corner a little bit. Nadeau left the door open. Bauman unable to take an advantage. Finally within striking distance, 89 pulling to the inside of Nadeau. Dead even as they cross the stripe down to turn 1. It's going to be Bauman for the position. Bauman not going to be pleased with how hard it was to make that pass. That's a lot of wasted time he could have been using to run down Argerbright, and a lot of tire wasted to get around the 97 as well, having to push the tires on that race car just a little bit harder than he otherwise would have liked to. Let's see how that pans out later. Argerbright enjoying a comfortable 7.5 second lead over that third place battle, with Bennett Allen another 3 seconds up the track, currently exiting turn 2 as Argerbright coming off turn 1. Look at that timing and scoring. A driver on the track who has got pretty good pace right now. The 12 car been running 56-second flat on older tires. Last pit on lap number 25. On a 56.2 for several of the cars ahead of him, also on the same age tires. Unfortunately, Gentry finds himself a lap down, but the only car 1 lap down. Should we see a caution for some reason, he would be the driver eligible for the Lucky Dog free pass and get that lap back. Argabright showing his hand early, coming in for his last pit stop of the afternoon here on lap number 56. Gonna try to force everyone else to come a little bit earlier as well, or else run the risk of losing too much ground to the 41 to make before the end of the race. Maybe a little bit early for Argabright, but not sure what the strategy is here. I know everyone's got a different approach to the race tonight, but he's going to be the first to come down for the final pit stop. Tell you what, I think Nadeau might have worn out the tires on Bauman's race car, because Bauman just unable to really make any ground since that interaction between the two drivers. 55.8 have been the consistent times between these two drivers. Bauman says, I'm going to get back on strategy with the rest of these guys. I'm going to come down the road a little bit early. Definitely going to have to make some improvements down pit lane this time, though, in order to not lose that roughly 2 seconds lost on pit lane last time. We'll follow the progress. Pit lane time now listed on your screen. Argabright with a 50.5. Bauman gonna be a little on the slower end of things once again. 53.6 for the Team Highlands Racing driver. Pit lane not doing him any favors tonight. Hopefully not going to catch a penalty. I don't think that a striped line will count as a penalty, at least not according to the real world rules. As long as he does not go back up on the racing surface. Well, how about Doug Argabright? Fastest pit time of the evening. Pit road time only 50.5 seconds. So fastest pit cycle of the evening. Argabright doing exactly what he needs to do if he's got a shot at victory lane here. And of course that Dale Jarrett diecast set provided by Devin Gentry and Sugar Maple Designs. Nadeau coming off pit road, having just taken his service. 51.7 the time spent on pit lane for Nadeau. Pretty darn quick, right up there with the fastest. Still about a second behind Doug Argabright on that pit lane time, though. That was a screaming pit lane time. You think, oh, well, the racing's only happening on the racetrack. No, there's racing happening on pit lane as well. Whoa, big time loose for driver 15. Nadeau packs the air under the spoiler of the 15, takes the air off the back end of his race car, gets him absolutely sideways coming off turn 4. Alan Stahl on those old tires, last pit lap 32. Looks like he's going to take a late approach to the pit cycle yet again. He's got a healthy lead. There's nothing really to lose. He's going to have to fight Argabright for that lead, because conceivably Argabright will take over that lead once he comes down for pit stops, and the 15 is going to have to be able to get around again. But every mistake that Allen makes on these old tires, every slide like we just experienced while getting passed by Nadeau, that is just a bigger chunk that Argabright is able to take out of that race lead. You see that gap shrinking. Argabright 38 seconds behind. We'll see how close he can get. Wow, really close contact off of turn 2. Martin sends it to the outside. Tight quarters racing here for driver number 15. He's probably not enjoying all these fast guys going by him. He's like, I'm leading the race. Cut me some slack, guys. But you got a lot of guys out here looking for the win, especially when he's got 5 on the season already. I don't think anyone's going to cut him a break between here and championship weekend. Allen finally comes down pit lane. We'll see what that pit lane time is. We'll get that back up on your screen up on the left side of the scoreboard in just a moment. See the pit lane time now visible. Fastest so far, Argerbright with the 50.5. What does Allen have to answer that? Will he gain? Will he be even? Or will he lose ground on pit lane? Gonna have to be perfection out of driver 15 here in this round of pit stops. Nice clean stop. Maybe a little on the slow side getting into the box. Slow but safe. 46 car is down and away. 51.7, slower than the last time for Allen. That's going to result in over a second gained, net gain for Argerbright. Argerbright will take over that lead. This will be the lead, and what we see here will be the ground that Allen has to make up. Argerbright with a massive 11.2 second gap. Also of note, the split on these Goodyear tires not as wide as it was before. Last time the gap was 8 laps between Argerbright's pit and Allen's pit. This time the gap only 6 laps. So that margin between fresh tires and older tires not quite as wide as it had been before. So these tires should be hanging on a little bit better than they did the previous run for Argerbright. Can Allen make up the gap? Bauman running P3. 2 seconds or so behind. 2.7 seconds behind Allen currently. Bauman came in lap 56, so he's got a 5-lap differential on those Goodyear tires. Looks like the resulting difference in time is about 1/10 of a second per lap between the two. Unlikely that Bauman will catch. Be able to run down Allen for that second spot, barring any other circumstances, such as a caution. New fastest lap set. Once again, Bennett Allen. 53.1, the new lap time over a 53.25 he had set before. So speed's picking up. Allen knows what he needs to do, and he's getting out there to set after it. Just inside of 20 laps. 19 laps to go here at the Brickyard, the Devin Mains Designs 205. Gap has closed all the way down to 1.4 seconds between Allen and Argabright, with just 11 and a half laps remaining here at the Brickyard. .2 seconds. Speed last time by, nearly a second faster for Allen. 55.1 the speed for Argabright. 54.3 from Allen. Let's see what the times are this time by. Down the front stretch they come, and across the stripe, 55.6. Bigger fall off for Argabright that time. 54.6. 1 full second the gap in speed between Argabright and Allen. Argabright maybe pushing a little bit too hard in that number 41. Misses the apex off turn 2. Doing everything he can, coming to 10 to go next time by. Argabright still leads Allen by 0.4 seconds off of turn 3. Off of turn 4 now. Better line off of turn 4 that time. Gets those left sides down on the apron. Much less of a gain through 3 and 4. Times like this, when you see a driver getting that much larger, that much faster in your rearview mirror, it can be hard to hit your marks. Keep the mind games at bay. Saw late and a wide entry there for the 15, trying to get the run off onto the back straight. And it looks like he does that pretty successfully. The gap now half a car length as they enter 3. Argabright's going to stick it to the bottom, going to try to make the 15 pass on the outside, but 15 knows that game. He's taking that wide entry to the corners to do the crossover off of the turn. Allen gets a nose to the inside. He's side drafting that rear quarter panel of the 41. He gets alongside. Dead even through turn 1. It's Allen to the inside, Argabright to the outside. Allen makes the pass for the lead down to the bottom of the racetrack, breaking the draft for the 41. Just defenseless out front is Argabright, currently the slowest out of the top 5, surprisingly. Driver number 41 just has spent the tires on that Toyota. Back in the 4th spot, Nadeau is going to put the pressure on the 89 of Bauman for that 3rd spot. We'll see what becomes of this battle, because that first place battle is settled. Bauman out front, a bit of a wide entry, maybe a little bit of lift on exit, trying to keep that car out of the fence. Down to the inside, breaking the draft for Nadeau. Nadeau back to the outside, taking that wide arc into 3. Doesn't quite get alongside. Will that shallow entry hurt Bauman through this sector, though? It does a little bit. Nadeau able to close the gap down to half a car length. Bauman sends it in deep to turn 4. Spreads that gap ever so slightly. Both cars just a little bit free as they cross. The stripe once again. 6 to go here at the Brickyard. Bauman squeezing every last bit of speed, pushes it a little too hard into turn 1. He slides the 89 through the entry. That's going to give Nadeau the inside into turn 2. Another driver falling victim to overdriving the race car, pushing the entry of turns 1 and 2 way too hard for Bauman. Sticks on the outside of Nadeau, able to side draft just enough to keep Nadeau within arm's reach, but Nadeau able to make that thing stick in the bottom of turn 3. Will we see a crossover from Bauman as he come off turn 4? Bauman with a shallow entry yet again. We haven't seen the wide arc for that crossover that we saw out of the 15 several times throughout the day. Likes that shallow entry, but I think it's costing him on the exits. 5 to go at the Brickyard for the Devin Mains Designs 205. This is the lone battle on the racetrack. Every other spot has pretty much spread out to the point where shouldn't see too much of a change, barring any sort of caution coming out in the next several laps. Extensive fall off for Bauman. I think this battle has come to a conclusion as well. Nadeau rallying back to pick up that third position. Nadeau still trying to claw his way up into that top 6, so this is going to be a big day for the 41. Doug Argerbright, one of those as well, also going to pick up a decent bit of ground on that 6th spot. Turner and Gentry both ahead of those two for the spot, so both of those drivers should pick up a decent amount of points for that 6th place battle. As we come down to the wire for the championship, it comes closer and closer every week. I expect almost all these drivers to be within 10 points as we head into next week's race, which makes it absolutely anybody's spot to get. Steve Turner currently holds it, but it's only 8 points back to Gentry currently, and Nadeau and Argerbright are only a slight distance further behind. White flag is out at Indianapolis, and it's Bennett Allen showing the way through 82 laps. Will lead the most laps. We'll pick up the fastest lap of the race. And the bonus points for no incidents this race as well. There were a couple hairy moments navigating getting lapped getting passed by cars through the pit cycle. But off of turn 4, it's smooth sailing the rest of the way for driver number 15, Bennett Allen, is going to claim victory at the Brickyard for number 6 of the season. And our final race in the month of October. One race remains to decide the 6th place cutoff, but your points leader continues to dominate here in the Thursday Night Nitro Series. Bennett Allen shows everybody how it's done once again over Doug Arterbright in 2nd place, Kyle Nadeau 3rd, Max Bauman 4th, and Dusty Martin brings it home in the top 5. Once again, a big thanks to Devin Gentry as we see him cross the stripe for the final time for providing tonight's prizes for the winner. Of course, a breast cancer tribute. Dale Jarrett diecast cars, which will be picked up by this man right here, driver number 15. Not only does he know how to race, he knows how to do a burnout and celebrate in style. They'll massive burnout down the front straight here at the Brickyard. Bennett Allen, win number 6 on the season. See, folks, I wasn't wrong earlier. I was just calling the shot for him. All right, as he celebrates, the rest of the driver is going to file into the green room, and we'll get some post-race interviews underway in just a moment. Of course, we want to shout out Devin Mains Designs, sponsor of the DMD 205 and our Team Points Championship this season. If you'd like some sharp-looking designs for your race car in iRacing, go ahead and check out Devin Mains Designs. You can get sharp-looking paints like you see on your screen here. Feel free to check out his Facebook page. The link is in the description below this live stream. Sharp paints as always, using metallic masking layers, all sorts of different things to make your car look absolutely stunning on the racetrack. So check out, once again, Devin Mains Designs on Facebook. The link is in the description below the video. All right, let's go ahead and get some post-race interviews underway. Of course, first on deck is going to be our 3rd place finisher, Kyle Nadeau, driver number 97. All right, third place finisher Kyle Nadeau. Hot off a great race at the Brickyard between everybody. Not quite the brawl that we've seen in past races, but definitely a battle of attrition between everybody out here on track. Trying to keep the tires underneath the race car and just trying to hit those apexes. You got 4 of them, and they're all a son of a gun to get right consistently lap after lap, but you pulled it off in the late race. Were able to get the pass on Bauman, force him to use his tires more than he wanted to. We saw a lot of drivers fall off a cliff after having battles like that late in the race, but you came out on top of that battle and brought home a P3 finish, which gives you a pretty healthy points advantage over Steve Turner. That'll be, I think, about 6 points gained on that 6th position for the championship standings, with 1 race remaining before the cutoffs. But Kyle, take us through your evening. How'd it look out there at Indy?
Well, when it started out, the track was really slick, and the wind was coming across 1 and 3. So I kind of got loose going into 1 on the initial start, dropped back to 5th, and then I think as the wind started to shift, it caught Carlos coming out of 1, and it pushed him to the inside, and then I was looking out my window and I'm watching him come up. So I ran really high, and I ran out into the marbles and stuff, and it just killed my right front from then. So kind of had to settle in and work some pit strategy. So I figured to every 26 laps, break it up into thirds, and I think I ran a little short when on the last one when I saw Max pit. I'm like, well, he had to chase me. We'll have the same tires. If we just pit, I can run behind him, save my stuff, and he's the race tonight. He was the race tonight because I think when I pit, Bennett and Doug were like 8, 9 seconds ahead. It's like, well, barring a caution and I'm speeding on pit road right now, my best chance for points is just racing Max. So all in all, it was a great race. Yeah, it's just saving that right front. Um, I love tire management races, and yeah, pulled out another P3.
Yeah, we had mentioned throughout the broadcast tonight was not going to be just a race on the racetrack. Those several green flag pit stops, those are going to add up in a big way. We saw pretty big variation between the top 5 to 6 drivers in those pit lane times. Probably average somewhere in the 51.7 range. We saw Doug rip off a 50, I believe a 50.5, 50.2, somewhere in there at on that last pit stop, which gave him a really big margin to work with. But unfortunately, I think just cooked the tires a little bit too much. Wasn't able to hold Bennett off on that late race charge. But it was, like you said, a game of tire management for everybody. Some people were able to pull it off. Some people weren't. We saw, I guess it's one of those tracks where it's a little bit trickier to do it because there's really only one preferred lane. You can take different approaches to that same lane, but you're really not going to do too much passing on the outside. I don't think we saw any passes on the outside, even among the drivers on fresher tires, because they didn't want to punish those tires too much. But like you said, it was a tire management race, and those people, we see the cream of the crop of the guys who were able to take care of their equipment rising to the top toward the end. So it's definitely no surprise seeing you up there in P3. Always good seeing you in races like this because we know you're going to be there in the end.
I just like making them think I'm down and out, and then just sneaking in there at the end.
We wondered for a minute after that little bit of a shaky start. We're like, well, a little bit of a bad start on the initial green drop of the green flag, but came back in a big way late. Had confidence you're going to figure it out, and you definitely did. It was great watching. Thanks for putting a battle on for us last few laps. Everything was getting a little bit spread out there, so I have to thank you tonight for giving me a job to do.
Oh, hey, you know what? Anytime. I'm always doing some type of stupid pass in the closing lap. So if it's slow, try to find me, and yeah, I'll try to make it exciting.
And that you've done. So I'll congrats on the P3 finish here at the Brickyard. That gap is going to close for that 6th place, and it ought to be a very interesting week next week as we close in on that cutoff race. which for the viewers who aren't aware, we will be at Phoenix for our final race of the regular season next week. So, Kyle, how you feeling about your chances out in the desert?
Pretty good. I prefer the old Phoenix for sure, but no, I had a pretty good race there in the ARCA race last season. Kind of just the same thing, saber tires, and then pushed at the end. Big, wide, fast track. It's more of a super speedway than a short track now. Yeah, I think it'll in the Xfinity car. It'll be a really great race.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It's a little more of a free car, just a little more horsepower than the ARCA car as well, so maybe not quite as understeery. Might have to worry a little bit about that, more about that right rear than that right front. So should provide some pretty entertaining racing for everybody, and definitely going to be an entertaining watch with that parallel storyline of that sixth place championship race. So, well, congrats on the P3. Best of luck to you next week. Go ahead and let you shout out whoever you'd like to before we wrap it up for this evening.
I'd like to thank you, Adam, for broadcasting. I want to thank BoomTube for being a place to broadcast this. Devin Mains, thank you for sponsoring the race tonight, and congrats to Bennett on his trophy collection for Dale Jarrett. I thank Déjà Revél for sponsoring the replay camera. Sorry there weren't any cautions tonight, so maybe we'll get you in Phoenix. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to my lovely fiancée, Chantel. I love you. And I want to say hi and I love you guys to my parents. And thanks to everybody who was out there racing tonight. Thanks for everybody watching. Yeah, and go Jays. One more win.
Yes, definitely keeping an eye on that pennant race as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on you next week in Phoenix. Thanks for taking the time, Kyle, and congrats on a top 3 finish tonight.
I hope to get there. Thanks, man.
All right, that's been Kyle Nadeau, driver number 97, finishing P3 at the Brickyard. All right, does not appear that we have Mr. Argabright present. So, I guess we're going to have to skip right to the main event. And have an interview with our winner, collector of kneecaps, Bennett Allen, getting it done at the Brickyard in quite a mad dash to the finish there. We thought maybe that would be in an insurmountable gap after an absolutely blazing pit stop by Doug for that last round of green flag pit stops. Got him a couple extra seconds tacked onto that advantage. But he came, he saw, he overcame. How you feeling about that race win, Bennett?
I mean, I feel like I was in control the whole race, and I don't mean to sound smug. Like, that first pit cycle was like my gauge, right? I was already planning on pitting later. I've done so many B opens to understand that like the like first 10 laps of a run are very important, and if you can outlast those first 10 laps, you're gonna bypass the field, and you'll be that much faster. And so everyone pitted really early compared to what like my plan was. I was gonna run it as late as I could, and I think I had like 6 laps left on fuel, and I pitted, and then so that's when I started doing the math in my head. And so as I was passing people and I was catching up to Doug, I was keeping an eye on the laps. Like I knew I pitted on lap 34, and it took me to lap about 43, 44 to get him, like pass him. So I was like, all right, so like that's the gauge. Like if he pits early enough, I'm gonna pit, 6, 7. Dang it, 6 or 7 laps later than him. Oh, good lord. And I couldn't help myself. It's a problem.
We're sorry to those out there with children who have to hear that on a constant basis.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, parents. But I mean that was the truth. Like I was hoping it'd pit early enough to where I could just keep running, because since I pitted so late, I still had that extra tire life. And he did. He pitted early enough where I was like, all right, like I'm confident that I can win this. And I think he pitted with like I want to say like 28 laps to go, and that was perfect. And so I pitted with 20 to go. I hit exactly the number I wanted to hit, and then it was on. And I did not let up for the last 20 laps, and I ran as hard as I could until I got to him. And then obviously when I got to him, I wasn't going to make a stupid move, and I did my best to race him as clean as possible. But after that last pit stop, I was just like, no yellows, no yellows, no yellows the rest of the way, because I knew I had a huge tire advantage after pitting so late. So the one thing that did surprise me was we were both so like far enough ahead of third that after I pitted, like I still came out second, which surprised the crap out of me. I didn't think we were that far ahead. So it was a good race. I bought a Quest 3 on Tuesday, or was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. And so this is my first race in a Quest 3, and it's nice to be able to look around and not have to hit buttons and I have an actual good field of view for once, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely nice to have that VR depth perception. You're able to get the car a little, that much closer to the wall. You kind of have a better idea of the scale of the car and judge distances that much better. So great. You're adding even more tools to the arsenal. I mean, you've already put a beating on the field for 6 races out of 8 so far, but look out. He's got one more tool in the toy box to make him even faster. But yeah, we kind of wondered on that last run. We saw you had a slightly slower overall pit lane time than you had the first couple runs, but you definitely came out and made up for that in about a lap. Because we saw you right off the jump after you outlap. Yeah, I think it was a 53.
Yeah, I got that. I got that second back. We were talking about that in the Discord, in the team Discord. He's like, yeah, your overall pit time was a second slower, and I was like, where? Like, I thought I had almost a perfect pit stop, and by the time I looked down, I was like, oh, that second's already back. We're good. And thinking about it now, I think it was on pit exit. I was sliding my tires, like spinning them, like from the second the jack dropped. Like I couldn't get grip on corner exit, or not corner exit, pit exit. And so I think that's where I lost the second. But I guess it didn't matter in the end. My question now is, I hope I max out on points. I haven't done that since I think the first or second race. So I think I led the most laps. I think I had the fastest lap by at least 2/10.
Yes, race control confirmed. You collected fastest lap, most laps led, and the 2 bonus for 0x for the race. So you pulled off the trifecta.
I could have gone faster for the fastest lap. Like, the track was starting to cool down, and I noticed that. I think I was running like 4s in practice. 4 in practice, and then I ran a 2, something like that. I don't remember. I'm trying to think. It was a long race, but it progressively got faster, and I that like outlap, like right after I crossed the finish line to start that first lap after new tires, I was like sliding all the way through 1 and 2, and then I slid like through 2. And then I kind of gathered back up in 3 and 4, and I think I slid in 3 as well. I was like, "Oh man, that lap's gonna suck." And then it was a 1, and I was like, "Oh, guess not."
Yeah,
so
it looked like a little slip angle was all right. We saw some pretty decent speed out of some guys who, it's obviously not great on the tires, but last run of the race, you're in a little bit shorter, fewer laps in that run, so you definitely could afford to pour on the gas a little bit more than the previous parts of the race.
I mean, even though we didn't have the greatest turnout tonight, we only had 10 cars on the track, but it was still a lot of fun. And I like races that go green. I love green flag pit stops, and it just adds more to the realism. So I still had fun. I added another win and another collection of diecast to my 124 collection, which is always a dub. And I don't know what next week is, but
Phoenix.
Oh, great! I love that track. So I get some practice this week, I guess, for next week and officials, and then we'll head into the playoffs where hopefully I can continue my winning streak and or win more.
Playoffs where that 100-point gap gets erased, and we get to start the whole thing over again for 3 races. So that'll be interesting. The stakes get a little bit higher, but I think it'll be great to watch. And next week is going to be great to watch for that cutoff, because where Doug and Kyle both finished, they both took a big chunk out of that gap for the couple guys who are below the cut line.
Considering Alex and Devin didn't show up, so that helped them a lot.
There'll be about 4 or 5 guys all going for one spot next week, and they're all going to be right there in contention. So, and with the small field, every point matters, especially after we bumped up the top 10 points in the running order to 2 points apiece rather than just 1. So, you know, worse you finish, the bigger losses, the more spots you gain. It's going to be a bigger gain for every car you pass. So, should be a great battle next week, and everyone's still chasing
might just take my provisional.
I'm sure they'd appreciate that.
I mean, to make it a little bit more interesting, you know, for the fans.
All right, but great race regardless. I know we thought it was going to be a little bit more of a shootout at the end, but I mean, we saw great talent on display all night from everybody. Some really fast drivers in here, all trying to play a little bit different strategy, trying to gain any little minuscule edge that they could. But pretty much played the race to perfection, and once again came out on top. So congrats on number 6 of the season. Congrats on picking up a really cool diecast collection. Once again from Sugar Maple Designs and Devin Gentry providing that. And yeah, we'll be looking forward to next week. Whether or not you decide to race, it'll be interesting all the same. But we're really looking forward to this championship shootout, and I hope all the viewers are as well. I'll go ahead and give you the floor for a minute if you'd like to say a word for your sponsors and any friends and family out there.
Yeah, always a huge thanks to you and all of our partners here at Thursday Night Nitro. I just love the realism it brings to actually have partners, and I'm just always thankful for that. And just a huge thanks to everyone at Outlier Speed Company. We're building faster and faster sets each week. So if y'all race anything from all the NASCAR series to late models to even Mazda MX-5s, Outlier Speed Company is your way to go. They're cheap and they're fast. And huge thanks to my buddy Bobby Blazer and B Blades Vintage, and then my other buddy Josh Coppernell at JCTV. Good to have some friends that I can support. And yeah, I think that's everybody. And I'm just very thankful that I'm in this position where I can race fake/real race cars on a fake/real track. And you know, I work a hard job, and so this is always my out and the way I can decompress after a long day of work. So just thankful I can be here and, you know, have some fun, turn some laps, and, you know, just have a great time.
Well, thanks, Bennett. It's always good to have you. Great to watch some great competition between some really fast drivers, and have something to chase after. I mean, we're always going to have a dominant driver every season, but it's been a nice shake-up to see somebody different out on top this season, whether or not the competition appreciates it or not. It's been great to watch, and a great bit of racing put on by everybody, so thanks for being here with us and giving us something to look forward to watching every single week out there. So congrats on win number 6. We'll hope to see you next week in Phoenix.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
All right. That's your winner of the Devin Mains Designs 205 Bennett Allen. Picking up number 6 on the season and extending that points lead as we head into the last race of the regular season. Get ready for that cutoff at the end. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Boom Tube, here at the Brickyard. Once again, we'd like to run down and thank all of our sponsors. Of course, our drivers doing a great job of hitting a lot of those for us, but I'd like to get those in ourselves as well. Can never thank them too much, because without them we wouldn't be able to do all these cool giveaways and have the prizes and all that stuff that we're able to have. So thanks so much, of course, to our main sponsor for the race tonight. That's Devin Mains Designs. Of course, making awesome designs for your iRacing race cars, and sponsor of tonight's race here at the Brickyard. I'd like to thank Déjà Revél, Boudoir Photography out of York, Pennsylvania, for remembering what you're made of, getting absolutely great artistic keepsake photographs. Go ahead and hit up DejaRevél.com to learn more. And we can get it up. There we go. Of course, Sugar Maple Designs providing the diecast prize for Bennett Allen, your race winner tonight. Oh, several diecasts in this set. A great collection here. I believe we have quite a few more coming up in the next few races. All 3 championship races will have diecasts to give away as well. So we've got something to look forward to. We'll have some photos of those in next week's race. So you drivers out there will have something to shoot for. But thanks again to Devin Gentry, not Mains, for providing these. Devin's out there just taking care of us with the sponsorships. We got Devin Mains Designs and Devin Gentry, Sugar Maple Designs. Thanks to you guys out there for sponsoring the Thursday Night Nitro series here on the Boom Tube. That's going to do it for us this week. Right back here, same place, same time at Phoenix Raceway. We're going out to the Arizona desert to do battle for that 6th place cutoff spot next week. And we're hoping you're right back here with us, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, same place right here on the Boom Tube. As always, I've been your host, Adam LeVox, the voice of the Boom Tube, and we hope to see you all again down the road next week at Phoenix to find out and set our championship field. Thanks so much for taking the time. As always, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and give us a follow on the YouTube page. Go ahead and click that thumbs up video if you like the broadcast this evening, and go ahead and click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified the next time we go live. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time and your support. Not only myself and the Boom Tube and Thursday Night Nitro, but your favorite driver there on the racetrack. We will see you next week. Thank you.